Welcome to the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. My name is Angela Mandor, also known as the Geeky Girl. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about some amazing things to help you get over overgiving. Hi, and welcome to the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. My name is Angela Mandor, and I'm also known as the Geeky Girl. Today, I have a really cool guest for you. Her name is Amy Veros, and PCC is a coach and systems thinker behind Creative Catapult Coach and host of the podcast Control Alt Think. Love the title. She partners with high-capacity sensitive humans who feel the weight of something unseen and builds spaces where internal signals become meaningful structure. Her work isn't about optimizing or overachieving. Instead, she leans into curiosity. How do patterns in our nervous system map into how we build businesses? What happens when the foundation shifts? With neurodivergent creatives, overfunctioners, and recovering overgivers, she uncovers questions, witnesses processes, and co-designs systems that ask less of the body and rely more on wholeness. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. And I'm laughing. And, a lot of what I work with for myself is really about using the tools. And I'm like, oh, yeah, the tools can make it sound really good, but also a real mouthful to get out in a speech rhythm.
Right?
Even if it sounds amazing. And, I'm laughing as you're like, over engineering. I'm like, is that piece I submitted over engineered, or any of the marketing piece, not marketing pieces, but, that formal polish is a slightly different angle on things than exactly the kind of conversation we're having here. It's like, and they both have their place.
Yes. Well, sometimes it's hard to really quantify in words some of the things that we do because for me anyway, you can tell me if it's different for you, but a lot of the times when I'm working with neurodivergent individuals, including myself and my family members, there's a massaging that has to happen that isn't, there's no box to put us in. So we have to kind of massage the world around us, right?
Yeah, I think that that's a good way, and for many of us with that nonlinear systems thinking, language is flexible, but it still doesn't encompass the way our brains, and probably any human's brain, experience the world. It's, we need a slightly more linear way, and when we try and encompass as much nuance as we can in those linear things, it is less fluid. Even if it sounds, yeah. And by the 17th revision, it's like, it sounds good and it's not necessarily exactly that same spark from the first round.
It's all good. You know what? I love and embrace the ebb and flow of change in that concept, right? I can have a bio and it'd be great for a while and then go, does it feel right anymore and change it up. But the essence is there.
Yeah.
It's all good. So whereabouts do you live? I didn't even ask you that yet. So where are you?
Yeah. So I'm in Seattle, Washington, northwest corner of the US, depending on your listeners' geography. I know some people it's, pretty North American centric, and other people it's a pretty international focus. And I, have had European friends and acquaintances kind of point out that the way so many Americans introduce themselves is very American centric. And so I try and theoretically encompass a bit wider branch sometimes.
Fair enough. I have to ask because I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which is just above North Dakota, right? And so what is the temperature there right now, or about?
52 and windy and rain.
Oh, 52 would be nice. It's 15 here.
Yeah, that's cold. Although and we've got major flood warnings right now because it was quite a bit cooler, and we've got wind advisory, and it's pretty calm right now, but it's wet and dark.
Right. Yes, the darkness and the clouds right now. Typically where I live, we get tons of sunshine. Usually all year round. It's one of the things that could be minus 40 Celsius, and we'll still get tons of sunshine, which kind of brings. It's like, okay, yes, cold, but it's nice. But right now we're getting snow, and it's cloudy, and even though it's only minus 9 Celsius, 15 Fahrenheit, it's more of a downer,
Yeah, I one of those people who's super impacted by the daylight. I don't know if you may not be able to tell. I've got two sun lamps, which also work quite well as lighting for being online. But then I've got more light in my apartment than most people. People walk in and go, "Wow, it's so bright in here." And I'm like, I don't function without light. So, and not just light, but a lot of light.
Right, right. Yes, yes. I feel you. And I mean, it's interesting because you know, listeners know I've had this concussion problem, but like light now for me is very difficult with
Yeah.
the recovery from the TBI, right? So I'm the same as you. I usually have bright lights everywhere and tons of light, but now I mean, I'm more of a sunglass girl now. So till
Yeah.
I heal.
Well, in that, light sensitivity is like, it's weird how different parts of the spectrum can affect us so differently
Correct.
because, if anything, I'm still, I need a lot of light, but it's also like, I need a lot of bright light. It's almost like my capacity, and I'm almost insensitive to it, so I need to turn it up. And I, there's a certain blue white light at night that, if I walk under a street light, I will get viscerally angry. So I so I also wear like a yellow tinted glasses sometimes at night because it keeps me being more who I want to be.
That's awesome. And I think it's like that nuance is important, right? Like we talk about sensitivities a lot. Sometimes we don't express what those sensitivities are, right? That like for example, you just said that, that light in the evening will make you angry. If I listen to baroque music, which is like a type of classical, like that baroque music, instant anger. Like it's the wildest feeling in the world. Whereas I can listen to other classical or hard rock or country or whatever. Like I love a lot of genres, but that one genre, if I'm hearing it, my skin just crawls and I just get mad.
And it's so weird how, and like even trying to explain or quantify some of those is like, yeah, I feel a little nuts because it's like it is so like nervous system based that there's like no rational, it's like people at least get the headlights in my eyes being annoying, but like walking under a street light, it's like, yeah, I just,
Yeah. Yeah, there's some socially acceptable, right? Like there's the sound of a knife on your plate or the sound of nails on a chalkboard or like there's some socially acceptable or aware type things that people have.
right.
But then you go, that hum of the refrigerator, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to lose my crap.
Right. And it's like, just be more tolerant or just be
Yeah.
more. And I'm like, but yeah, so it's like, and I think too, for me, I don't know if I've always been sensitive or if it's, we were briefly talking before we started. I've had a couple of brain tumors, but I now wear Flare Audio ear sleeves. They don't cut the sound, but they cut the distortion. And that, since my brain surgery a couple that has made a big difference on days when I'm having really just more sensitivity. That seems to take it down a couple notches,
Yeah,
especially
I
for some
actually
of
have,
those weird
yeah.
sensitivities.
When I have loop earbuds, so it's probably similar to those.
They're different, actually. They don't
Oh, okay.
cut the decibel volume, they redirect the sound into your ear differently.
Okay. Okay.
It's a yes and.
Yes, and yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
I know
mine
that what
is,
I've got one dog who goes nuts sometimes, and you just can't. Okay, the funny story is we have to put the first 48 TV show on, and then she calms down. But she loves to watch the murder show. I don't know. That's that one show. But sometimes she'll go crazy, and I just put the earbuds in, and it just sort of takes the edge off of her bark.
yep, yep. Yep, and that's important. Yeah, the one that yeah, for me it's car tires on wet roads. I
Oh,
mean, of
okay.
all the bizarre things that make me twitch, that is, and I can tell how dysregulated my nervous system is by how reactive I am, and that's taken me a number of years though, and being
Yes.
less reactive for a while to actually understand that, oh, when I find that I'm really unhappy with that noise, I need to, be extra aware and take extra steps to keep things in check, or, it just eats away my resilience over time.
And I think that that's a key piece here. When you said it took me a while to get here, right? And also to say, like, now I know when I feel this, then I know that this is like our emotional regulation can be managed well, but when it goes out, it's out,
Right.
right?
Well, and in the same vein as like I work with a virtual assistant who's 4 hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I've always known that, it's like I'm a morning person, but it takes me a while to kind of I'm a morning person, but I'm not a morning person. And that, for so long I've been really frustrated that I'm in a bad mood in the morning and, it takes me a while. And finally it like actually clicked, in the last couple months that it's like, no, I'm actually not in like an emotional bad mood. I'm in a bad mood because all the pieces are still have grit in the gears. I am not fully regulated yet. And as I fully regulate, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And that just to have a little bit more, I'm a little reluctant to call it peace with myself, but a little bit of a different way of looking at it is like, oh, I mean, it is a bad mood, but it's not because things are wrong, bad mood.
Yeah. I need time in the morning to kind of adjust to the things, noise, sound, lights, movement, like the stimulus, right? Like I need time to get used to that. Like my best morning is when I wake up, sit by myself, read or listen to my book while I have my breakfast, and nobody talks to me for a while.
Yeah. And another way to come online for me sometimes is doing some of those low grade mental things, talking to somebody. But, then there's that social piece where it's like, I feel bad that I'm in this, everything's stressful and dramatic space. Because it's, I don't want to take it out on other people either. But again, as I understand it, it's like, oh, no, you know, it's just my brain and body not really being in sync yet that, I can frame it and try and direct it a little bit differently.
Well, sometimes it's communication, right? Like this past Sunday, I got up after everybody else got up, which is never a good way to start my Sunday, but that's whatever. It just
Hmm.
happened, right? And so my husband was talking to me, and my daughter was talking to me, and I just walked up to my husband and I went, I didn't get my quiet time before we started this morning, and like y'all are awake. I'm not awake yet, so like give me some time to edge into this morning, you know?
Right.
And knowing that my spouse needs that from me, right? Like if I didn't tell him that, he'd continue because he thinks it's funny and right. But if I say to him like, dude, like pull it back a bit, like just give me a moment, and he will. But it's understanding the people around us, like who supports you and in what way do you have to support them so they support you so that you support them, right? Like there's
Right.
that back and forth as well. I mean, each relationship's different.
For sure.
Because I can get on the phone with my girlfriend and go, I'm bitchy.
Right. Right.
Works different, right?
Right. Well, and over time, each one, yeah, develops its own set of dynamics and how you navigate it.
Yes, yeah. And I think that the getting to know who you are is so important. Like really spending the time to understand who you are. To me, I think it's not selfish because I know that some, especially women, but also us neurodivergents, we think, oh, we should find a way to fit in because that's what we've been told our whole lives. Like just, shut up and bear it or, don't be so sensitive or all those things.
Right.
But um, it is not something that ignoring it makes it better. Like
Right.
when we take the time, and whether you call it selfishness or not, but taking that self awareness time and to learn yourself, I have found personally that the more I know about myself, the better my life has been.
Well, and that's a huge, testament to your awareness and being able to model that for others around you or, your listeners or your kids, husband, whatever your family makeup looks like, and friends and, other people in your extended network as well.
it's a, and I would say that what's interesting is that things change. Of course, like you said, you've had, brain tumors and you've had brain surgery. I had this TBI, and it has changed me from who I was 6 months ago. I'm not very, I am different. Things are different. They impact me differently. And when you are self-aware, when things change, you have the tools already. It's still a struggle. It's still hard. I'm not saying it's easy.
Right.
You have the tools to change.
Well, the tools, and don't have, you may need to adjust the tools, but you don't necessarily need to relearn them. You may probably need to recalibrate them because your nervous system is different.
Totally.
And having the tools doesn't mean you can immediately figure out how to apply them. You might be able to apply more quickly, but it's not like an auto channel flip and everything suddenly, running in the new track.
No, totally not. Yeah. We're still working on it. It's still happening.
Well, the couple quotes from high school that occasionally come floating back, which was its own eon many, many years ago, but the slightly more interesting version from science class, or maybe this came out afterwards, is like, every day we're alive, we, should be learning something. But my English teacher's version that I thought was rather morbid, even in, 10th grade, was like, well, from the day we're born, we begin to die, which isn't untrue, but it's not a real inspiring necessarily baseline.
Maybe they just thrive on gallows humor.
She was a very interesting individual. We managed to spend a month of AP English discussing Of Mice and Men. This book, in large print, is 100 pages.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a poignant book. There is a lot of undercurrents in that book. So, I mean, you totally can.
That's fair. And in 10th grade, we're like, you can make up, I think my friend and I took to making up symbolism and both got fabulous grades on the paper because we were, and maybe it was the creative thinking that we both had, but that it sounded plausible and, but yeah, we were like, okay, open it up, point at that page, make something up that's symbolic.
Yeah. Well, at least, I mean, the thing is with something, I was not a reader in high school. In fact, I never read any of my books. I was a terrible student. I just couldn't handle it. Nowadays, I'd be able to at least read and listen to the books or whatever, like if I was in that same place. Now I read hundreds of books a year. But I know that back then, the only way I passed those English courses was class participation, right? The discussions about the book. Even if I hadn't read the book, we have discussions about the book.
Right.
I was actually, right before my exam, grade 12, I was in the library, which wasn't the place I hung out to for academic reasons. I was just hanging out with people who were there. And I leaned back and I pulled a book from the thing. It just happened to be by the author of another book that was in class. And I read the back just for fun, and it talked about her life or whatever. And so in the exam, it wasn't that, like, it was that author, and I had to write an essay on it. I'm like, oh, and I worked in all the stuff about her life. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, isn't it worked.
There is something
now looking back as an adult, I can see how, Of Mice and Men could be pulled completely apart.
Yeah, and yet that pattern seeking ability, you could tie the things from that book into an essay without having read either book. It's just, again, a thinking style thing, not that you're better or smarter or, than anyone else. It's just your brain is able to take that information and weave it in a way that academia relishes in a lot of contexts.
Good teachers, right? Like my daughter's, she reads hundreds of pages a day as a kid, like she was constantly reading. She used to get in trouble for reading in class because she would. But like her teachers, weren't really good with her ideas. They just wanted her to spit back what they told her. So it's nice to hear that you had a teacher that was like, yeah, let's evolve and think about these things, as opposed to just, here's my ideas and I must have you just spit them back.
Yeah, well, and I think we may have felt that. And so But again, it's like we were being as ridiculous as we could, in our opinion, and it was thought of as being amazing. So it was like, okay, whatever.
That's awesome. I love that. Because you're right. It's that idea of thinking. How can you think differently? And I think that that probably, helps when you learn how to think abstractly or to like really dig into and think, well, maybes, really helps you kind of think if you can apply that to yourself too and go, wow, I'm feeling this way, but is it because of this or because of that? And it helps you kind of dig in a bit.
Yeah, well, and that ability to see all the details sometimes is useful, and sometimes we can form patterns, and sometimes we get so lost that I miss the bigger picture too. It's like,
Yeah.
because is my energy off because of A, B, C, or D? And, whatever, probably all of them. And whereas somebody else would come in and likely attribute it to like one or maybe two specific items, I'm trying to attack them all on this, at the same time. And sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm vastly wrong.
That's all right. It's cool to be right and wrong. I don't know. I learned from being wrong. I'm open to
There
it.
is a lot to be said for that.
So getting to, knowing yourself really well and having the ability to sort of connect with who you are. How do you use that when you're thinking about how you're interacting with, let's say, your work or your tasks? Like, do you have cues that help you to understand that I'm feeling this way because I'm having a hard time with this task and this task should be easy? Like, does that help you there?
Sometimes it really depends, but I've, in the last 6 months or so, really taken to, in the last year, really exploring, how much of a bottom up thing. So it's like, kind of, I formed labels as I group all the details together and
Hmm.
clump things and sort of build. And not entirely that way, but so I've taken the extension from that into sort of mind mapping and mind mapping out a lot of my tasks to make them fairly tangible. And when I can get it small enough, I can do it. And this probably actually is going to transition, intentionally or not, back to the topic that we discussed opening up, which is the I just need to. And so when I often know that I'm struggling or there's an I just need to, something is sat on my task list for an unreasonable length of time, given the task and, a lot of it over time, I've untangled, if it's a fairly routine task, as long as it's broken down far enough, because I'm also thinking about boredom or whatever, or daunting, there. But again, I just need to, there's an emotional barrier in the way. But if everything is rational, what I'm thinking about is I've been avoiding, not even avoiding, I can't figure out, I've finally worked through most of it, but there's been a insurance claim that I've been trying to contest that was for an out of network thing that should have been in network due to a lot of confusion. And I just haven't, I know all the secrets, not all of them, but it's like I have gone through body doubling, I've gone through breaking it down, I've gone through scheduling tasks, I have done micro steps, I have had therapy sessions and coaching, and objectively this is not this hard. I have done these things before, so it's like
Right.
it's not a new process. It is, yeah, from a a checklist point, I know exactly what to do. There is a, so yeah, this thing that I've been avoiding or haven't been able to make tangible progress on is a cue that there's something else going on for me.
Right. Yes. Well, and it's interesting because it's hardly ever the same damn thing that keeps us from doing what we need to do. But like it can be an emotional thing that keeps us from doing it. It could be the simple breakdown and not knowing what the next step is, which obviously isn't yours for this particular thing. But like it could be, I just don't feel good right now. It could be, I'm emotionally dysregulated every single time I sit down to do it. Like there are so many different ifs, right?
Right.
And so sometimes I think that the mining of the ifs can be annoying if you're like, I've checked off every single thing off my list. I can't figure out why I can't get this stupid thing done.
Right. Well, and that's kind of where it's fun to have a conversation in my book with other people is, getting another perspective or another way to look at it or some other thoughts to try. And sometimes it really is as simple as identifying that, oh, I thought I knew what the next step was, but when I actually sit down and try and explain it, I'm not as clear as I thought I was.
Right. Yes.
Or the emotional piece of, if you're familiar with Brandon McCann, I always mangle his name, The Wall of Awful.
Okay.
But if you're not, that's a good one to look up. The Wall of Awful is but basically a metaphor, and every time we fail at something, we get another emotional failure brick and build a big wall.
Fair enough.
He uses it as a whole coaching framework, and I'm not well enough versed in it, nor am I gonna eat up all your time trying to explain it. But it's kind of a cool thing that we've built this emotional resistance because we've not been successful before. We've let ourselves down, we've let others down, and so it becomes this big emotional association of, I've not been successful in the past, so this time too is that much more work to engage.
Well, and that's the stress that we have on ourselves, right? So, I mean, even if I know all the steps I need to do, and I know what's coming up next, and I know what the outcome is typically going to be, or I know where I'm headed in terms of an outcome, but maybe there's the extra pressure. I mean, because this is insurance, it's like I'm waiting for money to come back, or there's a financial burden around it. So now there's this, and maybe somebody else is relying on you for some other financial thing. And like it could be just an obstructive piece that's outside there. And I think you're right. It's important to talk to other people. I get so much clarity from talking with other people. It's eye-opening to see my struggles from somebody else's perspective, and not just, oh geez, they've got it worse than me. No. Like to actually be able to have a conversation with them and then go, oh, well, what about this? And you're just like, oh shoot, why didn't I think of that? It's just nice to hear
Right.
somebody else's perspective.
Exactly. And, I had hoped to gain that with some of the conversations I've had around this. And, yeah, in some ways, the pressure from a different angle is higher on me because it's like, dude, you've done this before. Just sit down and do it, or
Yeah.
even just sit down and open the document. Because, too, with that task initiation, so often I know that once I get started, it's been like this. I know at this point fairly well how to work with myself, and this one has just eluded me. So it's been, that a different kind of pressure of like, you know how to do this. You help people figure this out. You have helped yourself figure out a lot of this. And it's still just like, if it's on my list, I'll just straight up avoid it.
Yeah.
Not intentionally. And there have been some other legitimate big things. And I'm also well enough versed in systems to know that, if you don't pay this, there is a problem. There's a whole different set of problems that are going to emerge from not paying attention to it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and it's important to know your resources as well, right? Like I'm having a hard time with some of my tasks that I would like to do. I can't spend much time with a computer right now. So I used to spend 8, 9 hours a day on a computer. I can't. I mean, I'm out right now, which is a bizarre feeling for me, right? And so
Right.
sometimes you have to know, uh, maybe I know what to do and I know all the things and yada, yada, yada. But my particular situation is in this situation, I can look and go, you know what? It's just because I can't sit in front of the computer that long. Okay, to Julia, my executive assistant, I'm having trouble doing this task here. Can you pick up these pieces, right? And get somebody else to do bits and pieces for you. Sometimes it's that, or even, hey, I don't need you to do the whole thing, but I need you to do this one thing. And sometimes that helps you get rolling. Or if you have somebody who's like, oh, you know what? I just need somebody to be accountable to, right? And not in a stressful way, like not like
No.
you haven't done this thing, but just like, hey girl, have you done this thing? Or like, what are you
Right.
doing?
Well, that parental authoritative thing doesn't work for most of us. It sets off so much of that resistance to being told what to do.
Yeah.
And
Just
yet,
tell me what to do, I won't do it.
even if it's like that, somebody referred to it as their inner toddler having a tantrum.
Yes.
But yeah, that peer or the coach or, your executive assistant, just asking about it, it's kind of like it comes at it from a different angle, from the side, and suddenly you can engage instead of somebody standing in front of you going, it's like, yeah, we're going over here, but if somebody comes up beside you and starts asking about it, it can engage differently. It's like not
Yeah.
as threatening or something.
Well, and sometimes we can be our own internal parent, right? Standing over ourselves, yelling
Oh,
at us.
yes.
I think that that one's the hardest one to shut up. I was actually watching a comedy show last night, and the characters in the comedy show, they were talking about how they have this internal voice and how it was like dragging them down. And they're like, "Stop talking to me like that." It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta quiet the monsters.
You do. And, all of those are pieces that have information and want something good for us. And, so how do we work with that and not just tell it to be quiet, but acknowledge what it's trying to do for us, or what is it trying to help prevent, and how do we acknowledge that and have it step back a couple of paces so that we can hear ourselves think and move forward.
Right. And so when you get to this point now with a task that's like, I have tried every trick in my particular book, my toolbox is open, I've used everything I can possibly think of, and I still just need to. What is your go-to next? Usually.
Take a nap and try again tomorrow.
Fair enough.
And sometimes that's for shorter term tasks, that can be a great solution, because it's sometimes the time or the space my brain will process and, be up against it, with this insurance thing. It's been a combination of just continuing. I've even, done a bunch of like nervous system calming stuff to try. I've done a bunch of journaling around it, and it really is tied to some bigger life concept issues
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my book. So I mean, I can see where it's coming from. And just finally, I'm like, I've got to try a different path. It's like I got done what I intended, and then a couple other factors came up, and I'm like, that's actually not the right way to proceed right now. Which
Yes.
is like, is that what the resistance was about? Or is it now that yeah, because it's just long and complicated, but it's like, okay, now we got the letters written, and now I'm going to sit on it because I decided pursuing a slightly different angle actually makes more sense right now. And I still have these done, but wasn't my body trying to tell me that this was not the way to proceed? Or was it really the equivalent of, complex trauma? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? We can get overwhelmed. And when we're overwhelmed and overstimulated, it can be really difficult, right? So, like you said, taking a nap, I crochet, I read books, and so sometimes those things can be helpful to reset or restart. If I'm having I haven't done it in a while, but if I'm having a particularly bad day, sometimes I go and take a second shower just because I'm like, I need to restart my day from the beginning.
Yep, no, and and in the moment, I think I forget how much I've already got so many other things to try that I don't often realize I'm stuck because I've got 27 different
Yeah, yeah.
angles to attack it from. And, so it's like maybe, I will often take a nap or close my eyes for 20 or 30 minutes or come back to it later. And so for what I define as stuck, or, what to do next, by the time I'm applying that internal label to myself, is like I am really backed into a corner.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes it helps, like, to have the people to go, hey, by the way, do you want to go for a walk? Like maybe we need to go touch grass, or
Yeah, well, and again, it's interesting to sit here and go that, oh yeah, there are times I may not be rolling through things as quickly as I think, but the fact is, oh yeah, I actually have a lot of resources that I will try before I actually name myself as stuck.
right, right. Yes. Well, sometimes
And
we don't
that's
even
an
realize we're
interesting
stuck, right?
perspective in and of itself. Is like, oh, and too, as I've done a lot of interoception work and a lot more nervous system awareness, I've gotten much better at knowing what's going to help me kind of flip into a different space,
Right.
because it was always, you'd always hear about, oh, when I'm mad, I know to do thing X, and when I'm sad, I do thing Y. And I'm like, It's always felt kind of like, I will keep running through things until something sticks. But that other people have the ability to actually know what to try in certain circumstances is just kind of always baffled me.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know, us neurodivergent people, we get kind of bored with it if we do it the same way all the time, right?
That's true.
Like maybe, putting on this particular playlist has been great when I'm in this particular mood. But then one day you put it on in that mood and go, this isn't working anymore.
Right. When the novelty is worn off,
Exactly.
or
The
yeah.
dopamine isn't there.
Right. And so then, yeah, what else do you try? It's like I have gotten people on a kick intermittently physiological sighing. I don't know
Okay.
if you're familiar with that one. It's so you okay, I guess I have to do the full thing before I can actually try and explain it. I can't explain it while I'm doing it. It's basically you take a deep breath in through your nose as far as you can, and then a little, extra sort of sniff or inhale on top of it, and then breathe out slowly, and it actually will help reset your nervous system.
Okay. Yes, I've heard some of this breathing exercise stuff. Yeah.
And this one is different than the box breathing or a lot of the other breathing.
Right.
This one seems to hit the nervous system differently. And,
Cool.
some people find it, well, a lot of people really like it. There are some people it's, overstimulating or too calming. And I think that's a lot to be said for being aware too. It's like not one set of exercises or techniques is right for everybody and every nervous system.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like we've talked about, the different kinds of lights or the different kinds of sounds um, but I think that what's important is if you're looking for something to help you and you're not sure what, just freaking try it. Like try all the things. I mean, at least once, and then you can go, I tried it and didn't like it, or I tried it before and I didn't like it then, but maybe it'll work now. But at least you have that in your toolbox to try.
For sure. And, I think counterpoint to that too, sometimes if you don't want to try it and you don't want to do anything, sometimes too, that's the right answer is, just stop trying.
Yeah.
Just let it be.
Just learn it in case you need it for next time.
Well, that too. But yeah, and yet sometimes we're too persistent. It's like we should just learn to let it to stop, recognize that when we're beating ourselves to a pulp. And what happens if we stop doing that for a few minutes?
Right? You have to give yourself some grace, I usually say. Yeah, give yourself some space. One of my favorite places here where I live, there's a spa, it's called Thermia. And it is, I don't take my phone in. And it's just saunas and whirlpools and like resting areas. Like I'm not I can sleep in public person, but I can sleep there in public. It's the weirdest place, but it is the most relaxing place where I can just be nothing, no phones, no stimulus. I mean, you're getting stimulus from the hot and cold because you've got hot plunges and cold plunges and that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's one of my favorite places to just kind of go, ooh.
Well, and how, vital that nervous system reset, or down calibration really is in our entire existence, I think, really, not to overstate it, but really our entire existence. Finding that spot where we can sort of, what's the word I want? Go down to kind of a lower, input and output and let the nervous system just kind of reset.
Yeah. And I think that for some people, a low stimulus environment would be irritating for them. I mean, it would have been for me years ago, right? But for me now, I'm like, like my husband's retiring at the end of this year, and I'm like, okay, dude, like we're gonna go find some trees and some water, and that's where we're gonna go live, okay? Like in the woods. I'm over
Right.
city living. I need just chill.
Right. Well, and knowing when and where it all is working, and some of it too is that nervous system matching, what do you need right now?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
having that ability to kind of learn to go, oh yeah, low stimulation environment is like too out of sync with where I am right now and is just going to make me want to throttle everybody
Think
here.
too much.
Well, yeah, think too much, or I'm going to be so twitchy that I do a lot of sensory deprivation floating.
Okay, yeah.
And that's kind of one of those, it's almost always the right answer. And there are some days where it's like I end up getting out after a few minutes because I have a membership, so I don't feel bad about cutting a session short. And I'm like, I should have gone for a walk because I can't settle. And
I
that would have
can't
been
do
better.
I can't do a full hour in there with, because we do ours in hour sessions. I can't, I stay for the full hour, but by the time I'm about probably 45 minutes in, I'm just there playing in the water. I'm sloshing around and I'm having a good time because I can't be still that long.
Yeah.
I need to move around.
But there is something too, and that's giving your body sensory information in a way that you're currently finding beneficial.
Yes. Yeah. It's great. I love the experience. My husband is he's claustrophobic, so
Mhm.
he never ever wants to be part of the experience. Even though I told him we've got like a room and the doors open, and he can't even go to IKEA. And IKEA is
Okay.
huge, right? But because he can't find his way out of IKEA, he becomes claustrophobic. So you have to be aware of what are the stimuluses in that are going to be positive or and negative, and work with that and make sure you have what's good. If he likes thermia, he can stay for 8 hours with me. It's all good.
Right, right.
So I think that knowing yourself, getting to know yourself, I think is a big piece to what you talked about, is understanding how you're interacting with the world and what works for you, what doesn't. And of course, having these moments of I just need to get this thing done, or and having the ability to know yourself and know what's stopping me.
Yeah. Well, and that it evolves and continuing to see what the next piece is that helps and what the task this week is that I just need to.
Right. And it doesn't make it easier. Well, okay, so I shouldn't say that. It doesn't make it easy.
Right. One, it doesn't always make it easier either. It may give you some insight into why it's not easy, but that's still knowing is not the same as doing.
Right? Yes. It could still be difficult to get done, but sometimes knowing why it's difficult is helpful to at least get through it.
That is also true.
It's awesome. I have loved spending time with you today, and I know that everybody who's listening will get some really great tips from this concept of how do we get through the things. And so, where do you want people to go next to get more information about you?
Well, they can find me probably most easily on my website, creativecatapultcoach.com, even though my business is Creative Catapult Coaching. We'll blame that on what was available when I registered the domain 15 years ago, and I've never gotten around to changing it. But you can also send me an email directly at amy@creativecatapultcoach.com if my website is being funky. I'm redoing a bunch of things right now, and it's generally working. And there's some
Yes.
moments that it has an opinion that it too just needs a reset.
You know what? That's just tech.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll make sure that we have all that in the show notes, as well as we have your Facebook page as well. So
Facebook page, yeah. And I'm getting back into the habit of posting both on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook as well. I am happy to interact with people on there, although I admit LinkedIn, you're probably more likely to get an actual reaction because I don't get as much spam there.
fair. Yes, there's a lot of spam in a lot of places.
Yeah. And I'm always curious to hear what people think and, spend a lot of time and energy talking about this for fun. So I'm always interested to, see what other people are thinking as well.
It's awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Overgivers Anonymous podcast. Your support means the world to me. You can find show notes for this episode and other goodies at overgiversanonymous.ca. And if you enjoyed this episode or you enjoyed the podcast in general, why not join us in the Overgivers Anonymous Facebook group, where you can connect with overgivers from all over the world. Head on over to geekygirl.ca/group.